Good morning, everybody on YouTube. Okay, so I decided I had some time to do some movie reviews on the rest of my Godzilla Showa. And then right after that, my previous video, like I said, will start with the Gamera Showa series before we go into the Godzilla Heisei series, or the Heisei, depending on how you pronounce it. We're gonna start off with Son of Godzilla. Now, I did have this in VHS format, and I can't remember the girl's name, but anyway, she's a native on the island, and these these special scientist guys go to this island, and they do weather experiments. Well, a reporter gets wind of this, and he decides there's a story, these people make a great story, And so he goes to the island. They try to tell him, oh, go home, you don't belong here, And he doesn't. He says, no, I'm staying till I get my story. Well, then they decide if he's going to stay and be part of their group, then he could be their cook-up man and cleanup guy. So they make him the honorary cook, basically. And then while he's exploring and questioning the scientist guys, he winds up in a cliff and sees a lady swimming. So then he goes and tells the people that he saw this native woman, and they say, oh, well, you were just imagining it because it was hot and, and all this stuff. Well, then their experiment goes horribly wrong, and needless to say, the radiation makes the Kamacuras grow, the gigantic praying mantises. Godzilla comes to the island because his son was calling to him in the egg. And then we find Manila being born. The Godzilla suit I thought was still pretty good. Manila, when I was younger, I really liked Manila's look. But now, being 30 years old, I have to say I really did not like Manila's Showa design. But I loved how this was kind of a teaching tool for dads and sons and dads and daughters, because it kind of shows Godzilla being a dad, and this was more geared for, the beginning of them wanting to gear Godzilla's movies for kids. And so anyway, they started with Son of Godzilla, and then later with Godzilla's Revenge, again tying in with kids. But it wasn't a bad movie. It was pretty short, but there's scenes in this one that we cut in our American version. Like, there's a scene on the airplane where these guys are discussing these radio waves. Well, in the American version that I have, it just literally shows Godzilla heading to the island, but it doesn't show much of the airplane or anything like that. Just and then we cut to the guy arriving on the island and stuff. Then, of course, you get the giant spider, Spiga, in the American version, and Kumonga in the Japanese version. This is actually a bootleg copy, so I got it because it has the full Japanese version and it's subtitled. I couldn't afford the other one with Son of Godzilla, the American version, because they stopped reproducing it on DVD, and now it's like $100 and something to get, which is terrible. I'm not going to pay $100 for American version Son of Godzilla when I can get this for like $39.99. Okay? I'm just not going to do that. I was glad that they came out with Godzilla versus a Sea Monster. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is short. We do get Mothra eventually into the series. Now, what's unique about this movie is that originally King Kong was supposed to be in it, but the backers for King Kong backed out of it, so at the last minute they had to put Godzilla. Now, what is interesting to know is the VHS copy that I copied off of, I believe it was Day of the Dinosaur on TBS, or it might have been a Godzilla marathon on TNT, but I believe that the VHS tape version that I still have and I've watched to this day, the heartbeat in this movie is louder on my VHS than it is on DVD format, which bites. It totally does. It sucks. I wish if they're going to repackage this, they had kept the correct English version and the correct audio track and kept the heartbeat as loud as it is, because there's a scene in there when these guys are in a cave listening to Godzilla's heartbeat. You cannot pick it up on my TV. You can't. Unless maybe you really punch the volume, and I live in an apartment, so I really can't do that. But over and all, I really liked it for its cheesiness factor. Godzilla stomps around, he basically fries Ibra, then he tries to attack Mothra, and Mothra is like, I'm not having any of this shit. So then we get Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, also known as Godzilla versus Hedorah. This was a good movie, very dark and gritty. What's interesting to know is that this is like, I want to say he was almost one of Godzilla's toughest foes to beat. I liked how they showed a lot of stuff in this one. If you get a chance, buy it, because this story is pretty good. I really liked it. I mean, in this one, Godzilla flies. You can't beat that, okay? In Monster Zero, Godzilla dances. So, I mean, you cannot beat some of these special effects that they chose to use in some of these movies. I love it. It's the only time you get to see Godzilla fly. Godzilla versus Gigan. And of course, this is a good movie. Again, you have people from the Hunter M Nebula that control Gigan, and I guess they decided to take King Ghidorah from the Xiliens, and use him for their own nefarious purposes. But in this one, the English version, which is terrible, they were supposed to hear Godzilla and Anguirus talk. Well, there's a scene in there where he's telling Anguirus something, and the actor totally misses the English cue. They've never added the words in, and so you do not even hear it. But what is interesting to note is that the Japanese version doesn't even have these guys talking. So I've watched it on both versions, and the storyline is still pretty good. Alien cockroaches try to take over the world, and they just don't succeed because Godzilla eventually destroys them. But the only way he ends up destroying them is after King Ghidorah and Gigan's tape is destroyed. They decide they would rather save Godzilla, so they throw him into the Godzilla Tower, which re-energizes Godzilla after being almost nearly killed with the laser beams of the Godzilla Tower. Then after that, Godzilla and Anguirus rev up their attack and start attacking these guys, and eventually defeat them, and they run away. Again, Godzilla versus Megalon. Another cheesy movie, but definitely good. A lot of people say Megalon looks like a beetle or a roach. To me, he looks like a beetle rather than a roach. Now, he could have been based off of a roach or a sewer roach, because sewer roaches can fly. However, beetles can fly too. So his exoskeleton is more reminiscent to me of a beetle than a roach. Okay. He teams up with Jet Jaguar for a few minutes in the movie and basically starts destroying Tokyo with the help of the Seatopians who control him. Well, when Jet Jaguar finally breaks free of the control from the evil Seatopians, he goes and gets Godzilla on Monster Island, and together these two guys team up and fight Megalon. Now, the rumor is on the net that they decided that because Megalon was a new character and so was Jet Jaguar, that they didn't think them two could carry the movie alone, so they added Godzilla in at the last minute. The suit was designed, I like the suit for Godzilla, even if it was a last minute decision on the part of the guys making this movie. So I've added that to the collection. Destroy all monsters. Again, we get an alien race invading Earth, taking control of the monsters. Now, this is my con with the movie, okay? I had a version of this, and in it, when they're narrating in English, they talk about Varan being on the island. This is the international dubbing, by the way. And the narrator does not even mention Varan when they go and circle around the island before the lady gets down into the base. They don't mention him at all. Varan was pretty much a spectator in the fight against King Ghidorah. The dinosaur in King Kong Escapes shows up. Manda shows up from Atragon. And Anguirus and Baragon get mentioned, but they really don't show. Now, they show Anguirus towards the end, but Baragon doesn't get any action at all. Mothra and Rodan and Spiga at the end get action, but they didn't show all of them attacking different cities. Rodan, Mothra, Amanda, and Godzilla, I think, for most of the thing, got I think a bigger movie appearance than some of the other monsters that they were controlling at that time. Now, they did eventually defeat King Ghidorah, and the humans defeated the alien race. I believe they called them Grogosaurus or Gorosaurus, and I think and Manila was in here too. But there was some other stuff too. And I can't remember the name of the aliens, but I think they're called the Virat, the Keloks, or Keloks, or something like that. And then of course we have my other favorite, King Kong versus Godzilla. Now, there is a version out there that I've heard, and I don't know if this is true or not because I've never watched it, but there's a version that says, in the Japanese version, when King Kong wins, you hear Godzilla's roar, so you know he's still alive. Well, there was an alternate version to this that Toho did, where they had Godzilla win, but they thought that the USA people over here who loved King Kong would object to Godzilla kicking Kong's butt, okay? So they decided to let King Kong win. This is actually a very cheesy movie, by the way, and this is the one that has the communication satellite in this movie that was in Mysterians that they call a communication satellite. So if you watch this, watch Mysterians if you can buy it, and you will see stock footage from the Mysterians in this movie, okay? So just keep that in mind. King Kong Escapes is also, well, it wasn't part of the Godzilla Showa series, but this is the next movie that came with Godzilla vs. King Kong. Now, none of these have a Japanese soundtrack. I think, well, you know what, I could be wrong. I think King Kong vs. Godzilla has subtitles, but I don't think it has, a Japanese thing. This has subtitles in English too, but I don't think it has Japanese. Now they do have a Doctor Who in here, okay? And this is actually a pretty good movie. I actually liked it because this here, we get your first look at Gorosaurus, and I always wondered how he ended up on Monster Island. Because he was a monster I had never seen before, but come to find out he was in King Kong Escapes. And that pretty much is the end of the Godzilla Showa series. Next up will be Gamera's Showa collection, along with the 90s trilogy for Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, and we will talk more on that. And that'll be the next round. I'm going to stop here and upload this video, and I'm going to wish you a happy work week, everybody. Tomorrow, maybe even tonight, if I get a chance, I might do the Heisei series. With starting off with Gamera Showa into their Heisei series. There is talk that there's supposed to be a Gamera movie, but with Toho doing a new Godzilla movie, I don't know if Gamera's gonna get a new movie or not. I followed both of them, and I really like both monsters. Or kaiju is the term is called. I didn't include Pacific Rim into this, and I probably will after I do the review on Godzilla 2014, because that's coming up after the Millennium series. So, anyway, peace out, everybody. Hopefully I can do some more reviews on some more Godzilla figures if I get a chance. So, I'm going to stop here.